true diamonds in the rough. In tonight's Out and About, Alina Howder takes us to Yellowstone Hot Springs.
The community of Gardner wasn't spared from the devastating floods, but there is one place where residents can go to alleviate their stress. The Yellowstone Hot Springs is chock full of soothing minerals, and though they were affected by the floods, the springs are back and open for business.
It's a place you might miss if you're not looking for it.
It's gorgeous. It's like mountain views, pool views, a spectacular landscape.
Located right off US 89 in Gardner, Yellowstone Hot Springs is owned by Church Universal and Triumphant and has only been open since 2019.
The water is actually pumped to us from the Leduc Hot Springs about 1.5 miles down the road.
It comes out at about 155 degrees. The hot springs has a flow system where the water empties out into the Yellowstone River.
So we cannot use chemicals, there is no chlorine, there is no bleach.
That means there's a whole new pool every 8 hours. But the property wasn't spared from the floods. Their cabins, RV park, and camping sites were hit the hardest.
We did lose 13 of our RV sites to the raging waters.
The hot springs were safe, and the establishment lent out their running water and showers to the residents of Gardner.
We also lowered our prices to kind of help the folks who are suffering in Park County.
Right now, it only costs $10 for adults to soak in the springs all day. And that's not the only way they're trying to help the community.
Mother Nature left us an amazing beach that we didn't have before. So now we are partnering with 2 different raft companies from Gardner because their landing spot was washed away.
There are 3 pools at the Yellowstone Hot Springs, hot, warm, and cold. Good for visitors like Johanna Lindstrom, who came all the way from Seattle.
I really like how they have the hot and the cold pool, and I usually go in and out of both, and it's really nice to just switch around.
They're also the only hot springs that has a Connect walk in the country. One side's hot and one side's cold.
There's river rock on the bottom. As you walk from hot to cold, it does what's called pleasant thermal shock.
The water shocks the body almost immediately while microcurrents travel up towards the head. This helps stimulate blood circulation.
We found that walking around 7 times hot, cold, 7 times, by the 7th time, if you have a headache, it's gone. If you have a migraine headache, gone.
That's not the only thing unique about Yellowstone Hot Springs.
What makes this an exceptional hot springs are the jets.
Ronald says the high pressure of the jets combined with the minerals washes away any kind of pain. And while you're soaking, it's a good chance to see some wildlife.
We've got bighorn sheep across the river, eagles flying over, elk walking through every day.
And visitors have not been disappointed.
Honestly, 10 out of 10, and I've been to a lot.
Hot Springs are the best.
In Gardner, Alina Howder, MTN News.
Another evening, another chance of storms.
That's right, and flash flooding across the area. We'll break it all down for you when we come back.
The MTN 530 News continues right after this. Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Ed McIntosh.
Just in time for the weather. We've got weather to talk about. Let's take a look here with the Stockman Bank weather cam and check it out. We've got temperature right now at 85 degrees, a southwest breeze at 9 miles per hour. And as we talked about at the top of the newscast, we've got areas with the potential for severe thunderstorms for tonight and also for flash flooding. And across the area, you see where those storms are continuing to move in and across the region. So strong storms bring heavy rain, gusty winds, hail are possible. And it's really the heavy rain that we're going to be tracking here in the short term. Right now across the region, we're going to be looking at temperatures in the next short while really starting to cool down across the area. Let's back up here. We're totally off track here. Let's jump up and take a look at where our temperatures are right now. Hopefully this will get us back to where we need to be. So with the current conditions, we've got temperatures that are in the 80s, 70s across the eastern portion of the state, 90 right now in Helena. So here's where the storms are starting to come together. And as I've talked about the last several days, we're talking about high dew points across the eastern plains. That's the measure of amount of moisture that's available in the atmosphere. And we're continuing to watch those higher dew points creating higher humidity. So the humidity still 30, 40, 50% in some cases, so there's lots of fuel there to trip off some of these showers and thunderstorms. Again, the flash flood watch into effect for this good portion of northeastern Montana, and that includes now the flash flood warning that's into effect just outside of the Rygate area here, the same area that was affected with a lot of moisture last night, and also a strong to severe thunderstorm that's developed in that same area. A lot of lightning with the storms. You can see them starting to ripple off the mountains, and that's going to be the story as we start getting into the evening hours of tonight. A lot of these storms are going to come off the mountains and then lose some of their energy as they start moving into northeastern Montana. A little bit different than we've seen with some of those recent storms. That's where that strong storm cell is right now in Golden Valley and Musselshell County, continuing to put down quite a bit of rain, and that's why we're concerned about flash flooding in that area, along with the potential for some hail and a lot of lightning as well. So let's take a look and take it through time. That storm system will continue to lift up and away from the area, creating some stronger storms Miles City northward through the evening hours. Here's the clock at about midnight, and then that starts to fade out. As we've seen over the last few days, we'll see another round of potential storms tomorrow, but notice this starts to head a little bit more towards the north and starts to push out of the region. And then again, northeastern Montana could see some storms. So by the time we get to Saturday, a cold front starts to move in, and that's going to be a little bit of a game changer for us. So overnight tonight, we're going to be looking for temperatures to drop down mainly into the 50s to low 60s. Then tomorrow, daytime highs into the 80s and 90s. Now we're starting to hit some hot temperatures. That humidity stays up, we'll start feeling that heat quite a bit more. As we start getting into the next few days, a big high pressure ridge starts to build in. So with that humidity around, it'll still feel very warm tomorrow. When the cold front comes through, as we go Saturday afternoon into Sunday, that'll create some areas with some gusty winds and the possibility of some showers and thunderstorms. But it will help to cool the temperatures down a little bit. Sunday into Monday, actually pretty pleasant conditions. The highs moving back to the 80s for the highs, but it'll be drier air. Some of the heat will start to move back in as we start getting into the early part of next week, especially by, say, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll just show you on the Super 7-day forecast where the temperatures back off a little on Sunday and Monday, but the heat really comes back as we start getting towards the middle of next week. Still a potential for some strong to severe storms in the area this evening. Watch for changing conditions.
The MTN 530 News continues right after this.
As the dust settles on Cowboy Christmas, the richest regular season run in pro rodeo, cowboys and cowgirls weren't the only ones traveling. Our Scott Breen shows us another guy logging thousands of miles to entertain.
If you're ready for a little rodeo action, give me one big hoop and a holler. Come on.
That syrupy voice you hear belongs to this guy, Doug Mathis.
All right, now I want you to look at this horse. I'm going to tell you a little story.
It's turned into a great career. I couldn't think of a better way to make a living.
Mathis has been entertaining fans here at the Red Lodge Rodeo for 18 years, driving all the way from Texas every July.
You give us what we call the fan power and the energy.
And this is just one stop on a nearly full-year travel schedule.
We're going to make it a party atmosphere around this arena tonight.
What you may not realize, guys like Mathis don't just show up at Grand Entry and handle the mic. There's a lot of homework by day.
There's 4 hours of prep, especially for this rodeo. This rodeo every night's like an NFR.
Yes! Yes!
Like Livingston and Cody, this Home of Champions rodeo draws the world's top cowboys and cowgirls, many headed to the National Finals Rodeo, many who've been there.
The #1 man in the world, come on!
With past and present world champions rolling through, Mathis knows he needs to be on point.
Just to give you a little idea, I got up at 5 o'clock this morning, started with the prep for this performance. After riding a parade every day at 11 o'clock, as soon as the parade was over, I was back, and I got here at 4.
It added up to about 6 hours of prep and 3 more actually calling the rodeo each day.
That's the way you want to do it right there.
Now Mathis also carries his share of street cred, or in this case, dirt cred. You see, he's been on the other side of the microphone, riding bulls for 13 years, half a lifetime ago.
So I guess it's too late to learn how to do anything else.
In Red Lodge, Scott Breen.
Yes! Yes!
MTN Sports.
Now he was going to be close. What do you think?
The MTN 530 News continues right after this.
We want to get a final check on our weather now from Ed.
We still have some storms in the area this evening and isolated storms for tomorrow, especially to the north of Billings. Livingston, you still have a chance of a few stray thunderstorms over the next few days, but hot temperatures with high humidity, and it's going to feel even hotter than those 80s and low 90s. A cold front Saturday night into Sunday will bring a bit of a cool down into the early part of next week before the heat returns. Miles City and Sheridan also seeing hotter temperatures with higher humidity over the next few days and really hot temperatures by Wednesday and Thursday. For Billings, also looking at that stray shower thunderstorm pushing through the weekend.
All right, thank you, Ed. Thank you for making Q2 your choice for local news. We'll see you back here tonight at 10.
Hello, I'm Diane Parker. I hope your Thursday is off to a great start. Here's a look at some of the day's top stories. This week's fatal stabbing on South 27th Street is being investigated as self-defense. 24-year-old Jessie Gardapi was taken to the hospital Sunday night where she died from her stab wounds. Police say they believe they know the people involved but haven't arrested anyone because the suspect was likely defending themselves. In Lockwood, volunteers are still cleaning up the baseball field after people used it to light off fireworks on the 4th. The field is covered in debris, as you can see, but maybe even worse, the garbage bins were set on fire. The dumpsters are a donation from Republic Services, and it costs them about $1,000 to refurbish. Lockwood's Little League Board president says, unfortunately, this happens every year.
It's stressful. We're all thinking about it all the way up, leading up to 4th of July. We're ran off money that the kids fundraise, and so it's taking away from them.
The Lockwood Fire Department says next year they'll help the Little League block off the field to avoid this situation. All right, hey Miller, let's check in on the forecast. How's it looking?
Well, another day we have to watch out for the possibility of strong to severe storms as we get into the afternoon. In the heat of the day, maybe around drive time, starting to see it fire back up here in Yellowstone County, then pushing off to our east a little bit later on this evening. What are the main concerns today? Marginal to slight risk, anywhere from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., give or take an hour. Gust up to 60 miles an hour, quarter-size hail, heavy rainfall, and the possibility of weak tornadoes. It's not a zero risk, it's a 2% risk, it's a low risk, but still in those areas shaded in green, there is the possibility that can happen today, so we'll have to stay weather aware. And we're getting hotter, 80s and even some 90s.
As the cleanup is continuing from the flooding and government money is now rolling in to help those whose homes were damaged, farmers and ranchers are now being told they will not receive any help from FEMA at all. Montana agriculture is the state's top industry, an industry Montanans depend on for food on their plates. Now, after historic flooding on the Clarks Fork of the Yellowstone, many farmers and ranchers are left picking up the pieces on their own.
Nobody's trying to gain on this thing. We're just trying to get our lives back.
Jay Stetson's home wasn't damaged, but he and his wife, who have 500 acres of land, estimate they have at least $500,000 in damage on their ranch.
We need some assistance from some of these government officials that will find us some grants or find some emergency money that's been set aside so we can rebuild. And I'm thankful for what they've done, but it's not enough right now.
Tina Stetson has been working day in and day out repairing her ranch with her husband, while also making phone calls to get some sort of assistance.
FSA will help with some of the crop, with some of the seed, that sort of thing, but as far as reworking the ground, the cost of the fuel or the equipment that's needed that's gonna have to be brought in to help farmers be able to make that ground usable again, like there's no assistance for that.
Tina says they are only given one option when calling agencies for help. They are told to apply for a small business loan.
So farmers and ranchers are already stretched anyways, so now you want us to go get another loan to help rebuild what we lost, but yet we pay taxes, and that tax money is helping homes and other people. Why can't it help the ag people too?
If they can get the Yellowstone Park $50 million within 24 hours, don't tell me they can't get these farmers and ranchers some money within 24 hours.
The Stetsons say they are frustrated and, like many, never anticipated to be going through this, but they are not giving up hope to get some help.
We're not the loud voice We're the conservatives out here, so we're not going to be crying the blues and everything else, but the story needs to be told. We need some assistance out here, and it shouldn't, and it's federal tax dollars that we've paid in all our lives for this kind of stuff.
In Fromberg, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Relay for Life is just around the corner, and one breast cancer survivor wants to share her story on the importance of getting mammograms and how it saved her life.
Even before she was diagnosed with breast cancer herself, Vonnie Bray knew how significant it is to get screened.
My mother-in-law was diagnosed with breast cancer twice, and we lost her to that in 2000.
Vonnie first started getting mammograms through St. Vincent Healthcare's mobile mammography bus 12 years ago, and all was well until her appointment last June.
Several weeks later, I ended up getting a letter saying that they saw something that needed a closer look.
She then received a diagnostic mammogram where doctors saw a mass in her breast.
They did a biopsy then, and I was told that I had cancer.
A few weeks later, Vonnie underwent a lumpectomy where surgeons removed abnormal tissue from the breast.
They made it so easy. They walked me through every single step.
And now 1 year later, Vonnie is cancer-free.
The option of the mobile mammography bus is all about convenience and ease of getting that early detection.
Vonnie says each mammogram appointment she's had took no more than 15 minutes. The bus has been around since 2010 and goes all over the state.
We go a 300-mile radius, and we add more sites every year.
The Mamma Coach travels to 65 sites around the area, focusing on rural communities that don't have easy access to health care.
The new patients that we do are so shocked at how easy and convenient it is, and that we would even take the time to come to their community is just, they're so appreciative.
And the Mamma Coach will be in Billings Friday for Relay for Life.
We will be at the cancer centers of Montana all day doing mammograms.
Vonnie hopes more women will get screened yearly. Her mammogram saved her life, and she hopes it can save others.
It's such a simple thing that you can do, especially with the ease and the convenience of the bus. There's really no excuse.
In Laurel, Alina Howder, MTN News.
Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin will serve 245 months in prison for violating George Floyd's civil rights. Thursday's sentencing amounts to a little over 20 years, which is consistent with his plea bargain deal with federal prosecutors. A federal judge in Minneapolis initially sentenced Chauvin to 252 months, but subtracted 7 months for the time he's already served. Chauvin pleaded guilty in December to violating Floyd's civil rights when he kneeled on Floyd's neck during an arrest. The former Minneapolis police officer was sentenced last year to 22.5 years on state charges related to the death of George Floyd.
Our alliance with the United Kingdom continues to be strong. Our special relationship with the people in the country will continue to endure. None of that changes.
News of UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson's resignation continues to ripple around the world. In recent months, Johnson has been engulfed in a series of scandals that forced even his biggest supporters to abandon him. Nearly 60 members of the government, including 5 cabinet ministers, have resigned since Tuesday. Johnson will remain prime minister until the Conservative Party selects a new leader, which could take up to 6 weeks.
With each passing day, Americans in this country are paying more and more for power. But at a time when so many of our budgets are being squeezed tight, a shift in the winds of sorts might be offering some relief.
There is a lot of adherence to the status quo.
Guy Salem is a green energy advocate and has been working hard over the last few years, pushing states to fully offset traditional fossil fuels with renewable sources.
There's a lot of attention on federal policy generally, but energy is really controlled at the regional or state level.
The idea is gaining more traction, and Kai says could help eventually reduce Americans' energy bills over the course of the next decade, while also helping to reduce the impacts of a changing climate.
There is so much opportunity to move our energy systems towards clean energy, towards renewables at the state level. And we have to start doing that now.
Climate change is real, and it's happening right now.
That's Deb Ruggiero. She's a representative from the state of Rhode Island. Last month, lawmakers here set the fastest timeline of any U.S. state to reach 100% renewable electricity, a goal that must be reached by 2033.
The time is now. We have to decide, what are we going to leave our children and our children's children for a planet and a community?
As the tiniest state in the nation, that might not sound like a big deal until you consider no community here is willing to build any kind of new coal or nuclear plant. So essentially, they're out of options.
We have to think of how we can keep electricity costs down when you're at the end of the energy pipeline.
Other states are quickly following suit, and politically, they're places you may not expect. Kansas is leading the way with 41.7% of energy being renewable. 28.4% of Nevada's energy is from renewable sources. Colorado, 24.9%, and Texas, 18.8%. And California recently had its first full hour of the day fully powered by renewable sources.
We are here in red states and blue states all around the country. Renewables are here, and I think we're closer than we think.
All of this comes just a week after the Supreme Court ruled the EPA has no authority to reduce power plant emissions that contribute to global warming, a major setback to climate advocates. But
it's a setback at the federal level, but there are no silver bullets. EPA regulation is not a silver bullet. And it's just a reminder that we have to start by talking to our neighbors and talking to people around us about the benefits of transitioning as fast as possible to renewable energy.
All part of a continued push to make energy in this country more affordable and sustainable. I'm Chris Conti.
We call these places God's country, landscapes that cannot be confined to any definition other than an ethereal beauty that suggests this is how things were meant to be. But as with most things pertaining to people, this towering radiance inspires as much conflict in Summit County, Colorado, as it does peace.
It really comes down to supply and demand. There's a lot less supply out there for available housing, available land to develop. The demand is through the charts because people from all across the country, all across the world are looking for natural amenity regions like Summit County to own property in.
Summit County has 619 square miles of land. On it, there are 31,831 residential units. According to the county, that's 83% of the maximum number allowed by zoning laws. About a third of those are short-term rental units. Another third are second homes, leaving the final third, or about 10,000 residential units for the county's 31,000 people. It makes competition and therefore pricing high, leaving little room for the people who help make the county's economy run.
The tourist economy requires a lot of jobs and a lot of employees, and one of the biggest limiting factors in Summit County is the lack of attainable housing for the local workforce.
This is happening nationwide. A Headwaters economics analysis shows that every time a recreation-dependent county's population increases by 10%, the share of wages spent on rent in that same county increases by 7%.
We need to attain more diversity in these smaller houses. You need, it's the barrier to entry is very, very difficult.
Johnny Schwartz is a founding member of Able Construction on the East Coast. In 2014, he tried bringing a 12-unit housing development to the quaint yet expensive beach town of Westport, Connecticut. He said the units could be sold for less than half of the area's median home price of $1.2 million. But the development never got approved because locals had concerns, a common theme in many of these wealthier communities. Instead, a more expensive 5-unit dwelling was approved.
It's just economics. The land's very expensive, so you can't build a cheap house. You're starting at a very high price point. So the only way you could do it is to have more density.
We've all seen what the housing market's like, and it's made new builds nearly out of the question. So Summit County and other counties have had to come up with creative solutions. One of them, looking at already available infrastructure. This used to be a Days Inn that the county is now looking to lease and turn into affordable housing.
There's no one single issue that causes it. There's no one single solution to fix it. It takes a lot of creative thinking. It takes a funding source because the private market, the private sector, the free markets, they are not solving it. It's housing that costs more than what it can be sold for. And so it takes a lot of partnerships.
God's country will never lose its allure, and those who are stewards of its lands are dedicated to making sure it doesn't take a miracle to keep it reasonably affordable. I'm Dan Grossman.
I'll share my screen once it loads.
While I can't tell you the last time I played a video game.
Do I need to download something, or I sound like I sound like my dad.
They have always been a huge part of Alex Newhouse's life.
They are a place for creative expression. They're a place to figure out what your personal identity is in a good way.
But he's not meeting with me just to play. He works with the Middlebury Institute. Alex is one of the leading researchers looking at how extremist groups like white supremacists are using video games to recruit new members or radicalize those who could be susceptible.
A lot of times it's adolescents doing this during very important, sort of foundational moments in their lives.
If you're from the era of the original Nintendo, you have to understand how games have changed. No longer are they just a place for someone to disconnect on the couch. Many are like their own social media platforms where players communicate, play together, and build meaningful relationships.
They have become these places where people live significant portions of their lives.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, 10% of young gamers admit they've been exposed to white supremacist ideology while playing with others online. That's almost 1.5 million people between 13 and 17 years old.
What will happen is we'll see like 2 or 3 hardened extremists going into those lobbies and using basically like really intense racial slurs or other types of extremist language. And they are basically looking for positive responses from other people in the lobby.
And meeting with Alex, it didn't take long for me to see that as he walked me through a popular PC game any of us can buy online for $9.99.
You can just like put in an I-beam.
It's a game where players create their own worlds where other players can enter and interact with each other. He says extremist groups often create worlds full of hateful images.
I mean, how hard is it to find those specific worlds?
Yeah, when I was preparing for this interview, actually, it took me about 20 seconds to find an Auschwitz concentration camp simulator.
I'm not going to show you the anti-Semitic imagery, but I saw it for myself.
Like, I don't think this one is particularly interested in historical reconstruction and historic value.
If you're like me, you're wondering how images and messages like that could be so out in the open.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
It's why I reached out to Carnegie Mellon University's Kathleen Carley. She's studied how extremist groups have used the internet for decades.
It's very complex because, for example, let's say that the tech companies themselves wanted to stop this. Well, what are at their disposal are things like banning, doing content moderation, suspending accounts, etc. What we've seen is whenever they do things like that, it pushes things underground.
Alex points to studies that have found no link between violence in video games and violence in real life. But he says he's working with tech companies to create ways to combat hateful content like what he showed me. He says it's on parents to be involved because bad actors are casting a wide net in hopes someone will join them. I'm Chris Stewart reporting.
Mortgage rates dropped almost 0.5 percentage point last week, the largest week-to-week drop in 14 years. The rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is now 5.3%, down from last week, but almost double where it was this time last year. Analysts at Freddie Mac say potential home buyers are getting out of the market amid fears of a possible recession. More than £1 billion of California almonds have nowhere to go. Almond exports are down 13% this year, meaning 1.3 billion almonds are just sitting in warehouses waiting to be delivered. Industry leaders say there aren't enough shipping containers to get the prized nuts to their destination. Potato chip maker Pringles wants its own spider. The company says the kidney garden spider looks very similar to the Pringles mascot with the big mustache. They've started a petition for the arachnid to have a new name, the Pringle spider. As of Thursday morning, the petition had a few hundred signatures.
Potential for strong to severe storms with heavy rain, gusty winds and hail tonight, and already seeing potential for some areas where we'll see some flash flooding thanks to areas that have already been saturated with heavy rain. By the time we start getting into the evening and overnight hours of tonight, a lot of the storms will move up into northeastern Montana, start to clear out of the picture, and another round of storms will move into mainly areas of north central Montana by the end of the day on Friday. Temperatures in the morning mainly in the 50s to mid 60s, a little warmer in the eastern plains. And check out the heat for tomorrow. This could feel especially hot when the humidity will be somewhat higher through the afternoon. In the Super 7-day forecast, looking at temperatures low 90s for a couple of days. A cold front moves through the area Saturday evening. That's going to create perhaps some gusty winds and even some strong to severe storms. Then Sunday, a lingering shower or two, especially early in the day. Cools down on Monday, but check out the heat by the middle of the week.
Hotels in cities big and small have seemingly picked up on a long-time superstition. They'll skip over the not-so-lucky number 13 and go straight from 12 to floor 14. There's a word for why that is: triskaidekaphobia. Try saying that 3 times in a row. It's the severe fear of the number 13, and symptoms can range from feelings of panic to vomiting and difficulty breathing. One of the main theories of fear for the number 13 involves Judas. As the Bible reads, the disciple who later betrayed Jesus Christ was the 13th to sit at the table at the Last Supper. Other theories are tied to Norse mythology and Loki, the god of evil, a much more sinister spirit than Tom Hiddleston has portrayed in hit Marvel films.
You've literally stabbed people in the back like 50 times. Why never do it again?
Some of the most famous names who suffer from triskaidekaphobia include horror icon Stephen King and the 32nd U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
The number of people filing for unemployment is now the highest it's been since January. New numbers from the Labor Department show 235,000 claims were filed last week. That's 4,000 more than the week before. The Federal Reserve, the central bank of the U.S., says jobless claims may continue to rise in the coming months. It's a side effect of the effort to reduce inflation. The Fed says in its newly released minutes it will continue increasing interest rates to get inflation under control, regardless of the consequences.
It could drive a recession, right? In the sense that if everybody pulls the money back and says, oh, well, I'm not investing in anything, then it creates the vicious cycle of people losing their jobs. And then they're concerned about spending money, so they don't spend money. And then that creates, less demand, which means other people lose their job. And it's kind of a vicious cycle.
For the moment, people are more worried about prices at the grocery store than on Wall Street. Inflation was ranked the top problem in America in a recent survey. Groceries, gas, and electricity have seen double-digit price increases since last year. But the Fed's move on interest rates may not solve the problem right away. Leaders believe inflation could return to normal by 2024, while the interest rate hikes could chip away at our personal finances.
What you would call the everyday average person, it impacts these kind of student loan amount, like interest charges. It may be your credit card. It may be what an average person has to pay on a car loan.
The bank says it's controlling what it can, but outside factors like COVID lockdowns in China and the war in Ukraine could drive prices up for all of us.
Welcome back to MTN Sports Extra, powered by MontanaSports.com.
Welcome back, everybody, and no such thing as too much rodeo coverage during Cowboy Christmas. Now we shift to a pair of sisters from northern Montana.
Shoto natives Molly and Sealy Salmon were no strangers to the Independence Day Shoto American Legion Rodeo after competing in barrel racing, team roping, and breakaway roping in front of the home crowd.
My favorite is always to be back in Shoto by the 4th of July, and my sister and I have done it probably since we were 5-6 years old, and my parents have always been here, so it's just been a tradition that we've tried to keep alive every year.
The older of the two sisters, Celie, teamed up with her father, Mark, to compete in team roping, much to the surprise of Mark himself, who, despite being entered against his will, found success taking home the best time with his oldest daughter.
My dad did not know that he was actually going to be entered, and we entered him, and he was in the mountains and he didn't know, and he was not real happy to find out that he was entered, but it turned out in a great way, and honestly he needed to be entered because he still does awesome.
Molly has one more year with the MSU Bobcat Rodeo team, while Celie finished up her rodeo career in Bozeman in 2019. Both have had multiple trips to the College National Finals Rodeo, and for Celie, watching her sister finish up her career brings back fond memories of her own.
Another tradition, my mom and dad also went to MSU, so just kind of reliving like how great it is to make the college finals, and then for her to have so much success, it was great. Yeah, those were some of the funnest, greatest memories I can have at the college finals.